Oh. Hey. Hello, everybody. Who is this? Okay. Sorry I'm late. Hopefully you could hear and see me. Okay, let's warm up a little bit. Oh boy. Hey Jim, how you doing? Thank you for the videos. You sound nice. Now you can send me videos of you playing with your band, it's hard to play without a bass player for sure. So because now that you did that, and I like that, that's very good. Give me a drum pad lesson, or a demonstration rather, okay, of you performing, let's say, the single paradiddle. I mean, not up speed, just breaking it down like this. Show me a short video of you on the drum pad. Down, up, tap, tap, down, up, tap, tap. Would that be okay, Jim? Nobody else is in the chat. Okay. All right, I wanted to do, say a few things here. Maybe we could work on rolling in rhythm again, continue with that. Or let's talk about the exercises, like the vamping patterns and the turnarounds and whatever. Is it buffering? For what reason is it buffering? Oh boy, that's not good. Hmm. So Jim, you're gonna sit, look at this shit. Damn it. Oh. Well, maybe that's better. I don't know, it just went on and went off. I guess there's just too many people on the internet right at the moment. Let's say in a normal day on the internet, YouTube or whatever, say hypothetically, let's say you had 500,000. It's good now, Dennis, all right? But, you know, on just a regular day, say 500,000 people, which is very little. And all of a sudden, now because of we're quarantined, there's like 2 million people. So that's a lot of, you know, bandwidth being used, and it prevents all this shit. All right, it's good now. It wasn't good before. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Now, what I was trying to say before, you know, I say, all right, well, you're doing a stick control book. All right, it's good on everybody's end. Oh, before I forget, let me address this now. So before I get into the lesson, because I want to do a lesson and I want to do very little talking. All right, Stacy, the PDFs I sent you the other day, okay, that was the ostinato patterns, the symbol ostinatos. There's about 10 or 11 different ones. How you doing, Mr. O'Dog? I'm going to show you in a second there, old dog. Hopefully you got your book. A lot of people are emailing me, says, where's my book? I said, well, the mail is definitely slow because of the situation we're in. All right, I'll send it to you. What you should do, Stacy, when you get something like that, you should print it out. Okay? Because there is going to be sometimes, when in addition to the workbook or the what is it, the formulas, you are going to get additional PDFs, all right, to enhance that or to take it a little bit further. Now let me address old dog here. He asked me what beats per minute. I think that was 160. I was just hanging out, having a good time. And that's one thing I want to talk about. Repetition or stagnation. Repetition to me is stagnation, and it's a sign of boredom. I do the stick control book every day. But man, I get bored sometimes. I really do. Because it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. And that's routinization. And that's, not being bored, you're accomplishing something. And then you learn how to do vamps, you learn how to do turnarounds. And what I would do, or maybe you should do, and I do it as well, is I make up my own exercises, okay, from what I've showed you and what you know. For example, let me just give you let me take this lower. I'm going to take it at 120, the metronome. Now I'm going to vamp a 4-measure vamp with the right hand, a 4-measure vamp with the left hand, okay? And that was how I learned it from Joe. But, all the other exercises that I give you were an inspiration from Master Studies 1 with the vamping patterns. But here's what I'm going to do. Instead of just vamping, I'll put the metronome on. I'll do the 4-measure increment, left and right and left, rather. 2, 3, 4, 2, left, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But if you're doing it for 3, 4, 5 minutes, it has its assets. And, you're developing some endurance. But it is boring. So challenge that exercise. For example, make up your own exercise. If you go to the stick control book, I think it's page 10, maybe 11 or 12. Yeah. Page 10. Combination exercise, 8th notes and 16th notes. So, I'm not going to follow anything on that page, but I'm going to think about that page, like doing something like the 8th notes and 16th notes for single strokes, like 1, 2. Okay. Now I'll incorporate, say, that line into the vamping, because when you're vamping this, it is actually half of this. Got it? Okay, so now, let me just I'm going to put this on a different tempo. I'm going to go to 160. Come on. Now that's 160. You should be loose by the time you get into doing this. But I'm going to play randomly my own exercises in addition to what you've learned from me. So I'm just going to play vamping. Now, that's boring. So what I'm going to do is one vamp, one measure of eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in. And then I'm going to play one measure of sixteenths. Ah, missed it. What I do is I progress. I do one measure of an eighth note vamp, one measure of 16th note single strokes. The next time around, I'm going to do a 2-measure vamp, and then 2 measures of a 16th note singles. Then I'm going to do 3 measures and 3 measures of singles. 4-measure vamp, 4-measure singles. Watch. And it's something you can create. It's a no-brainer. Here we go. My left hand is stiff. Oh man, I just got a cramp. Ay, ay, ay. Sorry guys. But you see my point. Let me do it slow. 1 and 2, 3 and 16th notes. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E. Again, 1, 2 measures this time. And 4 and 2 and 2, 3. Now 2 measures of 16ths. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 and 3 measures. 2 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 2. Now 4 measures. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1, 2, 3, back. It makes working it out a little bit easier. You agree with that? You like that? Mr. Ed, where should I send the book, man? The formulas or the workbook? Which one do you want? Dennis ordered it. Old Dog, do you do things like that? See, Stacy and Old Dog are new here, so I'm going to have to re-explain a few things. First off, religiously, I do the stick control book every day, somehow or other. I'm always referring to it or referencing, but initially, here's what you should do. You know, you have the full stroke position, the half stroke position, and the quarter stroke position. Okay? So, if I do the stick control book, say the first page, page 5. I have nightmares about this page. I should change the page and go to another page. All right, anyway, the first line. And if you remember what a full stroke is, I throw the stick down, she comes right back. Same thing with the left. Now, I think this was crazy when I first did this, because I didn't understand what the reason was behind this. Let me just bring this metronome down. $35. How about the formulas, Ed? Okay. Anyway, I'm going to share with you my first lesson with Joe Morello. You know, you want to talk about intimidation. First, I was a young kid, big shot, arrogant, and I thought I knew everything about drumming, and I want to go challenge this guy. That was a joke. Anyway, the first time I see him just playing on the drum pad, his hands were unreal. Okay, so he explains to me the 3 ways that I should open up my practice. You know, the full stroke, the half stroke, and the quarter stroke. And again, the full stroke, when I throw the stick down, it comes right back, nice and relaxed. And he says, what tempo do you think you could handle that? Me be arrogant. I said, all right, maybe 120. All right. He takes the metronome and puts it to 35. That's the quarter note. Just to count that. The tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, can anybody tell me why it's at 35, why he was going to show it to me at 35? The reasoning behind it, besides I thought it was insane. All right, let me answer my question that I gave you. First off, if you're doing 35, it's difficult only because it's the slowest reading that I have on my metronome, and it makes you aware of that time, to stay in time, okay? And the spacing between the eighth notes. And also, by doing full strokes, sometimes you're going to get this. You hear the two different sounds? That's my philosophy, Stacy. Stop that. Of course. Everybody talks about speed. Without control, speed does not exist. That's the philosophy. Anyway, well, yeah, it's formed. Absolutely. That's part of it. But, you know, there's a couple elements that are occurring here. All right? What is happening is making you, it's locking you into a time like that. That's difficult, man. That's slow. So it's strengthening your ability to keep time. That's the start. Okay? Also, when I'm stroking, I'm keeping my form. Yes, sir. You're right there, Robert. But it gives me time to make an adjustment. An adjustment where if my right hand is producing a louder sound than my left hand, inside of the space at that time, I have the opportunity to adjust it. And I do. And I stay there. Now, this is not the starting gate, so to speak, but it's the point of all these things happening at that tempo. Okay, so that's, you know, I'm gonna try. It's been a long time since I did 35. And it's torturous. Okay? So here you go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and I'm ahead of it. 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and vamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now wait. You see, I was a little ahead of it, and that gave me the opportunity, okay, to fix it because it was that slow. No need to apologize, old dog. But that's part of it, is the form. You're strengthening it's giving you the opportunity to make that adjustment. And I didn't understand it, so I never really did it. Okay? Until it started to show in my playing elsewhere. And I said, well, let me try it. And then my playing that needed some fixing elsewhere started to improve, only because of the full stroke. And that adjustment, the awareness of what I was doing, that's what it did for me. Okay, so, you know, if you ever want a challenge like that, do that. Put the metronome on 35. You probably hate me for telling you to do it because it's not easy. But once you lay in that pocket, that 35, stay there. If you go out of that pocket, it's going to tell you, and you go back. That's teaching you something about time and about the stroke. The stroke should sound the same on both sides. That is the basic, it's the way George Lawrence Stone wanted the right hand and left hand to sound the same. All right, there's no dynamics, no accents whatsoever in the stick control book. That's another book. That's Accents and Rebounds. And I put that away because I worked on Joe Morello's Master Studies 1 and Master Studies 2. And that book was very inspirational, and it's helped me out a lot. It takes more than patience, man. And plus you're relaxing. It makes you relax at 35. Just as long as you don't fall asleep. It has its value. That's why. And then after I did it at 35 for, I don't know, I liked it. I started to do it for a while. I haven't done it in a while yet because there's so many other things I'm up to. So that was the first lesson. I go back to the second lesson, and I didn't do too good on the 35. But when he put up the metronome to 120, something else happened to me. He goes, Patella, that's pretty fast. I said, well, I'm looking at him. I said, what is he kidding me? Here's the guy, he's got a set of chops on him, they're unbelievable, and he's telling me it's kind of fast. Well, Jim, if your metronome don't go that low, it might go to 40. Go to its lowest point, okay? Now, the next move after the full stroke was, let me turn this off. Remember the full stroke here, the half stroke is half of that. That's your sticking heights, 18 inches, 9 inches. If you want to get technical, 3 or 4 inches. And each level there, each sticking position produces a certain sound. For accents, power. Playing very musical here, very, very light. I could play heavy here, but I'm pushing it. Or I can play here, a lighter sound. Now there's a whole spectrum from that distance, from the, say, the quarter stroke all the way up to the full stroke of volume. As I increase the distance and maintain the tempo, a crescendo, decrescendo, okay, appears. Now, at 120, it was do the line, repeat the line. And when whatever hand that you end with, you vamp for 4 measures. It's 120. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, vamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. You didn't show me that. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, vamp. 1. Now, I'm doing this, that you guys know this already, but somebody like Old Dog and Stacy who are new, and maybe Dennis who wants to review it somewhat, you'll see how to practice this. So I'm actually giving a lesson on that, but you know, I'm demonstrating, I'm adding the experience I had with it with Joe. Now the reason why I turned the stick over like that was because I was getting that cramp again in that left hand. I'll tell you, I really wish this thing goes away because, you know, a couple days it's good, a couple days it comes back. And when it comes back, it gets me really upset because I really can't do what I want to do on a drum set. And Jim, the videos you sent me today were fine. You play nice. You have a nice sense of time. Nice, and you're inside of the music there. That's really nice. However, I don't know if you caught this on the first broadcast or not, but what I'd like you to do is, and I won't expose it, it's just between you and I, is to do a video on the drum pad explaining the downstroke, the tap, and the upstroke, and the free stroke, okay? And the single paradiddle, like downstroke, upstroke, tap, tap, downstroke, upstroke, tap, tap. Now, can you do that for me, Jim? Because if you do, I see where you're at with the video, and if it's fine, it's fine. If not, then I could address what I think is wrong, and it's only going to help you, okay? You understand that? Would you do that for me, Jim? Okay, so that's half strokes. The quarter strokes, because the distance is closer, half stroke, the quarter stroke it's closer to the drum or the drum pad. It gives me the option to play a little faster without any tension or executing any or using any additional tension or muscles or whatever. I'm just relying on the rebound. So from 120, I went to say 52. And now I'm doing quarter strokes. But the main thing to do here is when you're doing the quarter strokes, look at my sticks. They're coming down from the same spot. 1, 2, 3, vamp. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, my left hand is shot. I can't do anything with my left hand. It really hurts very bad. I apologize. But, you know, that's the process that I went through with the stick control book. Then being creative, every week I used to go there for quite a while, for every week, once a week. And we used to do things like, okay, how else can you do the stick control book? Patella, what'd you come up with this week? And I explained to him what I did. He goes, oh, that's pretty good. And he came up with another thing. And so over a period of time, I processed these. I kept them. And I used them, and I expanded on some more. And that's where I got all the formulas. But like I said, I don't like routinization, because routinization is something that creates boredom. Well, I just showed you to that, Robert. I mean, you can play any beats per minute that you want, at any level you want. I mean, man, if you're playing, 208 up here, ouch, come on, Lifton, I'm going to try it. I can't guarantee it. If you're playing up here, man, you're really working hard, okay? And very few people, I mean, you can, it's not a problem, all right? As you take it faster, all right, it's a lot easier to be closer to impact. If I'm doing this, I'm really working a lot of things here, man. I can strain myself. I mean, nobody really plays like that except these new rock drummers or blast beats or whatever the hell they call that shit. But when I do, I have to loosen up. It's just like, everybody says, this is not a sport, you're not playing a sport. Well, you're not. It's not a sport, okay? What you're doing is a physical thing, because, this takes that physical, and you just can't start cold and start throwing things out at 208 or 250. That whole system has to loosen up. And this is the process of loosening up. That's another process. All right, a very high, I'm going to put it on fit. I don't know if I can make it at my left hand. It's really sensitive today for some reason. All right, I'm going to do half strokes. What happened to the tip? Okay. Or quarter strokes, rather. It's so easy because there's no distance there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now up the tempo somewhat more. I could go to half strokes on there, but I'm not loose enough and my hands are down. Let me go to 200. Da-da-do-da. Now I get a low volume here. I want to increase the volume. I bring the stick up. I'm working here. Full stroke. It's a lot of work. A lot of energy. I'm old, injured, and poor. That's my excuse. I mean, I wish I was 20 again and knew what I knew now. I had an interesting conversation this morning, and I'm going to share it with everybody, about cover tunes on all the Facebook groups that I have. So I found this video of Joe Morello and the Dave Brubeck Quartet playing Take 5. However, it came with a transcription. I said, man, I'm going to check this out. And it's some guy from Europe or something. I don't know his name. Man, but he did a hell of a job. It must have taken him about a year to do that. But he wrote out all the musical parts, the piano, the bass, and the drums, but the solo he wrote out. So what I did is I posted that, and my comment was, all right, you guys are always giving me a whole bunch of noise that I'm old-fashioned, old school, I don't want cover tunes in certain rooms. So here's a challenge for you. This is my cover tune. Listen to it. Plus you have a transcription. Now, if anybody can come back and make a video playing this and reading that transcription, you will be allowed to play post cover tunes in any room that you want. And if you don't know how to read, I think it's time to learn. You know, I guess I'm evil. I think that's pretty good information thrown out there. What do you guys think about that? All right, tonight's lesson, we're going to break down some rudiments. Okay, like the 5-stroke old, the 4-stroke rough, the flam paradiddle, flam tap, the Swiss Army triplets, the patty fla fla, the windmill, so on and so forth. Okay? Robert, did I answer your question? You laugh. Why do you laugh, old dog? It's the truth. All these guys with the long hair and tattoos and make a video with their shirt off, you know, they're doing cover tunes, and they give me a bunch of shit about it because I don't want them in here. It's noise. There's nothing wrong with cover tunes, but it is annoying in a room where it's an educational room. So what I did is I created a room, cover tune room only, okay? And now they got about 8,000, 9,000 members. And there's some pretty good people playing that. I don't really like to play cover tunes no more. I played so many of them in my life, I get sick of them. But it's not really playing, because you're doing a parameter of what that drummer is doing. And it limits you to being creative. And if you do create inside of that, if you do create on that side, people don't think you're playing. So put the cover tunes in one room. But I said, here's my cover tune I posted. And think about it, man, the transcription is unbelievable. That guy did one great job. It must have taken him a long time. And I listened and listened and listened. And I read the chart down while Joe was playing his drum solo. And the guy was right on. But, you know, it's just, all right, let me readdress that to you also, Robert. You know, it's all about dynamics. You know, the other weekend or whatever, I had Alan Herman, Steve Forrester, and Jeffrey Johnson here. Jeffrey Johnson, and they're all former students, by the way, of Joe Morello. And it was supposed to be memories of Joe. And, you know, it went off base a little bit once in a while. But my objective, before we were going to do that broadcast, Jeffrey Johnson was going to do a broadcast before that on his level system publication. Now, the guy did a fantastic job. He really did. So when this is all over again, he's going to come back by himself. And we're going to hang out for the day, and we're going to have a live broadcast again. It could be an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. Because, you know, it's what it is when you're playing, man. It's what you do. It's the laws of physics. You know, and that's how you get a clear sound out of your drumsticks and you're playing, and a clean sound, rather. You know, you want and I'm helping you out a little bit more here, Robert. If you're here, you can play faster because you're here closer to impact. And the more I move it up, the harder I have to work. Up here, man, it's like, it's a sport now, but I don't mean to say that. But, you know, it's physical, and you gotta loosen up. Renzo. Yeah, well, we hope the world is doing better from this bullshit. I don't know where it'll come from, but I hope it goes by, and it will. They had the same thing with the flu. People were dying, you know, because it was a disease. Now they got it under control, but they'll get it better. And Renzo, the lessons, where are you? You're in Italy. Who's this? Mazza Padre. Hey, Mazda, how are you? I guess I'm going to stay on for a while longer. If you want to come and frequent this, Mr. Mazda, and Renzo, come at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You know, we've covered some things today. Today's a drum pad day. On Fridays, the daytime, the 1 p.m. and the 7 p.m. are going to be drum pad days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be drum set application. And this is more or less talking about what we covered over the week and demonstrating some hand technique. Was that what it was? The bird flew? Mazza, where are you from? Renzo, I know you're from Italy. Oh, Switzerland. Well, of course it sucks, lockdown. Me, don't bother me. I've been in this studio all the time anyway. The only time I go out is to go to the convenience store to buy cigarettes. Spain, all right, so we have Switzerland, Spain, Wisconsin. That's where you're from, right, Robert? Old Dog, you're from, where are you from, Old Dog? Nova Scotia? Yeah, we got, and we have Stacy. Where are you from, Stacy? Virginia, West Virginia? Who else? Then we have Dennis. Dennis, where are you from, Dennis? And we have Ed, he's from the Boston, he's from Mass. Same thing with Jim. Okay, Mazza, if you want to get on my mailing list, oh, look at this, Virginia, Houston, Texas. Albert, how you doing, Albert? Isn't modern technology, oh, unbelievable, man. It's just a beautiful thing. Why not take advantage of it? Okay. Now, again, I'm going to put my email in here for you guys, the new guys. Canada. Okay. My email. Okay, anybody? Atlanta, you're from New York, okay. All right, you new guys, if you email me, okay, I'll put you on my mailing list. And then what would happen then, when I do a bulk email occasionally with some PDFs pertaining to the lesson. However, you will get a notification of the times and location of the lesson. Now, I mentioned location because I do broadcast, from 2 different sites. This site and my site. My site is mattpatellallivelessons.com. Right now, it's under construction. And I'm adding some nice things to the site to bring everybody different things that are unusual, okay? And what I'm trying to look for is a bass player, man, in the area here. There's a couple, but not for me. I want somebody who's well-rounded. Just to make some videos with me, plus do some live broadcasts. And I think that would be very interesting to show you what you do, what's associated to a bass line and vice versa, and what's to the tune as well. Okay? Now, anything you frequent viewers would like to review on the drum pad. Reading skills also are extremely important. Anybody want to review anything that we've done so far, especially to the new members? Stacy, you understand what I mean by turnarounds? Cut time. Vamping. Come on, guys, help me out. I mean, I could just sit here and practice. It's not a problem. Tonight, we're doing a breakdown on a few rudiments. I don't know which ones I want to do. And to me, I mean, you know, the language of rudimental or field drumming is a totally different language than playing a drum set or classically trained musicians. What is this? Absolutely, Stacy, very good. Renzo, you responding to Stacy? You know, simply if I'm doing a right hand lead, single strokes, and I want to alternate that to the left hand lead, you know, it's difficult if I don't use a turnaround because it's going to sound choppy. So I use a paradiddle. For example, I'll play like this: 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. And on that 4E and a, 4E and a, is a paradiddle. I'm in position to nail it to the left side. Very good. Okay, how about any formula exercises you want to go over on one surface? Very good. Well, it's not, you know, the turnaround is a common sense thing to do when you want to make the change, the switch from the lead hand. It's just, you know, there's nothing else to make it clean. There's nothing else really you can do. And if you try something else, it's going to sound choppy. How about working on doubles? Double stroke roll. Anybody know this exercise I learned 100 years ago? Paradiddle, paradiddle, double paradiddle, double paradiddle, triple double paradiddle, triple double paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle, 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 back. Do we know that exercise? You understand what I mean by the turnarounds? I'm going to do next week, remind me, guys. I've been saying it, and I get so overwhelmed and distracted, I go on to something else. I want to do a drum set application of the exercises that I did from Stick Control book on the drum set, the turnarounds. You know, we made, for example, line 2, we made R become, it's a formula. All right, we'll work on a double stroke in a second. The formula was, if I'm doing R becomes single strokes. 4/16, 1 E and left is 2. Okay, so now if I go to line 3, I have 2 rights, right, right, then left, left. So I make R equal singles, 4 E and That's the first one. 1. That's 1 E and now 2 is a right, 2 E, but now the next one's a left. So I have to make that turnaround. And I'm going to show you how to do that on the drum set, but that's what it is. Okay, doubles. Okay, it's a duple. 2 strokes. Finished. Next. No, I'm only kidding, Robert. You know, how I learned doubles, the way I started with playing drums was, I lived in a town or city, what you want to call it, in New Jersey. And it was a Memorial Day parade, and I seen a drum corps come down and was marching. And I looked at the drummers, and I said, wow, I want to do that. So the next couple of days when they were open, I went down there and signed up. I was too young. But I begged, I didn't beg, I persuaded the guy, yeah, I can come and watch them practice or watch the drummers practice. And in that interim, I made friends with the other drummers. So I bought myself a pair of 3S drumsticks. Huh, they were logs, man, mercy, they were bigger than my hands. And the one drummer said, the first thing you should learn, obviously is how to hold the drumstick, but do doubles. And nobody really explained to me how to do them. And I said, well, what's a double? He goes, it's 2 rights and 2 lefts. So what I would do, I will play some polyrhythms in a second. I'm addressing the doubles. What I would do when I was a kid, I just all day long with these 3S drumsticks on a drum pad, and when I wasn't on a drum pad, my mother's table or her living room set, And man, you know, I drove everybody crazy. I was just going, pounding the shit out of everything, trying to do doubles. And little did I realize there's that rebound. Until I found that, then they started to come together. Now, how do you accomplish that? You go around banging on furniture, you practice this all day, okay? Well, you take it, there's a couple ways to enter this. You think about it rhythmically, 16ths, stroke, I'm stroking and stroke. Now, at this point, I could do 2 strokes because it's a slower tempo. However, when I'm playing faster, see, there's a stroke and a rebound. As a stroke, rebound, stroke, rebound. You'll hear that, and eventually you'll start, and that's sloppy, but I'm just demonstrating, you know, the learning process. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4. And then it'll come together, okay? Now, you want me to do a polyrhythm on the drum pad, yes? Does that help you out, Robert? All you need to do is go 1, E, and 2, no metronome. Your tempo. You'll feel that rebound and the stroke. Now, no matter how much you try, and no matter, even if it's God, you stroke like a double, a stroke and rebound, that first stroke is going to be somewhat louder than the second stroke. But it's so quaint, you can't notice it. So, Robert, let me know if that helped. Polyrhythms. All right, what does polyrhythm mean? I don't know. You're playing 2 different rhythms at once. You know, you want to get into abstract polyrhythms, no problem. But if I'm playing quarter notes here, that's a rhythm. Let me use another surface, and I'll use that. So if I'm playing quarter notes and I want to play 2 and 4, or just if I want to play the ands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 different rhythms going on. That's a polyrhythm technically. Okay, so now let's go. You want to go to the standard of 3 against 2, 3 against 4, 5 against 4. What would you like me to demonstrate? The 3 against 2, simple pattern, or 6 against 4, same thing. Explain it. Explain to me, Albert, what you want me to do. While you're thinking about what you want me to do, let me explain 3 against 2. That's a simple one. I'm going to do 3 strokes in one hand. That's to the quarter note. What's this? Yeah, it means many. It's two things. You're playing two different. One is only one thing. More than one is many. So it's polyrhythm. Okay, so I'm going to play 3. 1, 2, 3. What's this one? 5 over 4. Okay. I will start. You want me to start there? 5 over 4. All right. It's a grouping of 5 and a grouping of 16th notes. 5 16ths and 4 16ths. But I break it way, way down. And the system that I use to break something down is math. So I'm going to do 5 strokes with one hand and 4 strokes with the other hand. How do I attempt to do that? That sounds wacky, but it's not. I multiply 5 times 4. That equals 20 for you mathematicians who didn't know. So how am I going to get spaced equally 5 strokes with one hand and 4 strokes in another hand to the quarter note, the 1? How do I do that? So if I take 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda, 4 eanda, 5 eanda, I just counted the groupings of 4 5 times. I went 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda, 4 eanda, 5 eanda. I could do that with my right or my left. That's going to establish the 5. But when I'm counting 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 5E and the, I'm going to play my bass drum to give me the downbeat of 1. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 5E and that's the 5. Now, how do I establish? And I was doing every four counts. I was striking the surface or the drum pad or somebody's head. Okay, that was giving me the 5. Now I got to break down the 4. How do I break that down? I have 20 beats. It works out. So while I'm thinking 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 5E and I'm going to make the 4 spaced equally back to the 1. So how do I do that? That means for every count, every fifth count, okay, every fifth count times 4 is 20 beats. It's going to give me the 4. So the first one would be 1, E, and the 2, E, and the 3, E, and the 4, E, and the 5, E, and the. Now, you see how I got the spacing? Now, I'm not going to be able to play that any faster unless I'm practicing it all day. That's a very unusual polyrhythm to do. It's common as a polyrhythm notation, but it's difficult to just sit here and play 5 against 4 at some rapidly ridiculous speed. You know, there's a lot of different directions you can go on the drum set. So let me do the 5 against 4. If I miss, I miss. So on the count of 1, both sticks are going to hit. That establishes the downbeat and my bass drum. 1, I'm going to play the 5 here, okay? 1, E, and the 2, E, and the 3, E, and the 4, E, and the 5, E, and the. If you practice that for a while, you understand the 5 against 4. So I'm going to play 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 5. Oof, 1. You can take it up a little bit. If I practice that all day, I get it up faster. But I haven't said good morning or hello or good afternoon to 5 against 4 in quite some time. But does that help you out, Albert? Mr. Albert? Don't say you went away. Does everybody understand my approach of polyrhythms? That's one way I learned how to figure it. I could write them all out. I'll tell you what, Albert, you email me and I'll send you a couple PDFs on 3 against 2, 3 against 4, 5 against 4, 5 against 3. Forget about asking me for 11 over 12. Huh. Well, that's how it's done. I mean, I'm not going to sit here, I'm not going to play that super fast. Yeah, the 5 against 4, it happens. 5 with one hand, 4 with the other. I want Albert to respond. Albert, if you get on my mailing list, I posted my email. Everybody's saying yes. Did I ask? What question did I ask? It makes sense. You understand it. Okay, good. But I mean, it's unpractical to play. You got it. Okay. Hey, Jim, you're going to make me the videos, right? Okay. I'm waiting for Albert. I mean, you know, that's my approach. You don't get it, Robert? All right, let me go over it again. Okay. That's because I'm not playing it fast. It's something I had to go over for a long period of time, a couple of days, and I get it moving because it's unusual. But it's a polyrhythm. I'm doing a grouping of 5 if I played it real fast with my right hand, and a grouping of 4 with my left hand to the downbeat. Okay, so now, like I said, I'm going to start this from the beginning again. This is for Robert. I don't like to keep anybody behind. Or if you don't understand it, that's a perfect thing to do, Robert. You're a good inspiration to everybody. You should be, because if you don't understand something, you might understand it to a degree, but if you don't fully understand it, you're asking a question. That's what this is all about. Okay, so now, it's a polyrhythm. Polyrhythm means playing more than 1 or 2 or 3 beats at a time. I mean, I do the Joe Morello table of time with all 4 limbs, all right, to a certain point. But we're working with 5 beats to this right hand and 4 beats equally to the left hand. There has to be a downbeat, and there has to be, that's your starting point. All right, well, playing them is coexisting is cool, but playing them is different. Okay, it takes a lot of focus. I'm thinking in 5/4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a. It's a lot of counting. However, I'm not playing all the eanders right now. I'm just playing the downbeat of the 5. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and 1, 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a. The mathematical division for that, 5 times 4 is 20. So if I count 1 and a, that's 4. 2 and a, that's 8. 3 and a, that's 12. 4 and a, that's 16. 5 and a is 20. So that gives me 20 beats, 20 counts, okay? Because now 4 times, to get the 4 equally in the distance of 5 beats, I break it down like this. So I'm hitting on the 5, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5 and the. That gives me 5. Now, in the same tempo, it's going to be every 5th count, I'm going to strike the drum. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5 and the 1 and the and the 3 and the 4 and the 5 and the. That gives me the 4. I'll do it slow. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5 and the. That gives me the 4. Does that help you out somehow there, Robert? You know what? I'm going to change my mind. Here's what I'm going to do. Tonight, we're going to incorporate the lesson from drum pad and drum set. How's that sound, guys? Does that sound workable? Yay, Stacy. Good. Enjoy it. Any questions? Any problems? Now, let me explain to you about the book, Stacy. There's no instructional ways to do that. It's just musical notation. There's a reason for that. You buy the book, it comes with a teacher. The teacher is me. You come and watch and ask questions on the live broadcast, and I will address them. That's the object. There's no my version of stick control book. If you, Renzo, what I have is stick control formulas, okay? And to the postage to Europe is absolutely off the wall, man. The book costs $45. The PDFs cost $25. Now, if I were to mail to Switzerland, it'd probably cost me $100 postage. Now, if you buy the PDFs, I can put them in your mailbox. You have to print them out. Okay? That's my version of, it's not the stick control book. It's the inspiration that I've gotten and the experience I've obtained, throughout the years. And it's a collection of all that. Well, they're not my teaching books. All right, Mazda, where you work in Spain? All right, here's what you want to do. All right, Mazda and Renzo are interested. If you send them, I can't send them to Europe. I mean, I could. You want to pay for the postage? I mean, that's ridiculous. $40, $50 for postage. What you want to do, if you want to purchase the PDFs for the stick control formulas, you go to my PayPal account. That's my email, mattpatella1001@gmail.com, and put the $25 in, and you get them. And yeah, old dog, that's because I was tired. You would have gotten them immediately. You're something. Anyway, I didn't realize it's almost 10 after 2. Mercy. Okay, I guess it's cool. Now, I'm going to do both drum pad and drum set lesson tonight. Okay? You understand that, Mozzie? Everybody here has my email address. Even if you don't purchase the book, email me anyway. Well, what is that going to do you, Renzo? You have a friend in Houston. All you need to do to get the PDFs immediately is to put the amount in my PayPal account, and you will get them immediately. No problem. And if you don't want to buy the PDFs or the workbooks or the formula books, just all you need to do is email me. I will enter you on my mailing list. Okay? Now I'm gonna have to sign off. I think it's enough for today. I think I did a long lesson. I'm gonna try to do more time as well tonight. Okay? Because Friday, Saturday, and Sunday there are no lessons, and I got assignments to do from my family, like yard work. Oh yabunga! Like I don't have nothing else to do. Thank you, Robert. Okay, guys, have a great rest of the afternoon. And if you do have any questions about anything, about drumming with the lessons or whatever, you have my email. Feel free to contact me, email with a question. And if I can address the question through email, I will. It's not a problem. Thank you, Jimmy. Am I really? Thank you. You could send a letter to my wife and tell her that. Okay, guys. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 1 p.m. right here. And maybe in a week or so, my 7 p.m. lesson will be located, or will be broadcast rather, at mattpatellallivelessons.com. Thank you, Renzo. Through my email, you'll get to your email the PDFs. It's 180 pages. Okay, thank you for your time, gentlemen and ladies.